Hey guys, it's Lucky Game Dog here. Today marks the end of the first week of 3.12 Heist League, and I am going to give you guys a build and map showcase of the Blade Vortex Poison character that I've been playing for the first week. I've got pretty min-maxed gear. I started with Caustic Arrow, and in Act 8 I switched to Blade Vortex and started playing it, and I have not looked back. First thing I bought was Carlitos and then Obliterations, and then I was running around exploding everything in maps all the way up to about tier 10 where I bought a 6-link, and it's only been uphill from there. I killed tier 6 on a 6-link with 2 Obliterations. Later I upgraded to a offhand swap of Cold Iron points for my single target, and it probably about doubles your damage, but I don't even think you need it for Series 8 if you're playing on SSF. But yeah, the build is really fast, it's quite tanky, it has really good single target, and yeah, it is just overall, I think, a top tier build for this league. I'm gonna finish clearing this map, and then I will go over the gear, the passive tree, that kind of thing. And as you guys probably have figured out by now, I'm running an Explodey chest, and I don't have the Obliterations on anymore. The Explodey chest is slightly better, just because you go from 100% chance from 40%. But honestly, if you're on a budget, Obliterations feel really good, especially for more closed-in maps like Grotto.
Let me tell you.
Alright, let's go over the gear. Let's start with the passive tree. First off, Corrupting Blood Immunity, Golden Rule. I am running Self-Poison with Maw of Conquest. This is not necessary. I killed Series 8 without this. I only upgraded to this on day 4. I killed Series 8 on day 3 or 4. And the rest of my jewels are just life and res, because I'm running Headhunter and Awakened Orbed Tailwind boots that don't have a lot of res on them. I'm also running Solstice Vigil, Maw of Conquest, unique items. This doesn't have any res. I'm really starved on res just because I'm trying to put in a lot of quality of life stuff on the build. The passive tree is mostly defensive. We take some of the most efficient damage wheels, and at level 97 I will take this point, and then levels 98, 99, and 100 are right here. We have cluster jewels to get mostly overwhelming malice. This is humongous increase in damage because it's Unholy Might up all the time. You just want to try to get a large cluster jewel with this and one other decent notable, and that's it. I have a third notable on mine, but I'm not ever planning on taking it. The medium cluster jewels, you want to look for Circling Oblivion, as we are an poison duration stacking build, and this gives us a bunch of duration. And Hemorrhage is also the biggest damage multiplier you can get on a medium cluster jewel. Instead of a second Hemorrhage, however, I'm running a Eldritch Inspiration because it does give decent damage, and it helps me regenerate mana and gives me some more mana. In the small cluster jewels, I'm running a Surging Vitality. You can run Fettle here, or if you want to go the Ailment Immunity route, you can run the Ailment Immunity small cluster jewel. And I have an Enduring Composure so that I can gain endurance charges while I'm mapping and bossing. And that's about it for the tree. We just take Wind Dancer and a lot of life, some skill effect duration, couple damage nodes. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest. Let's go over the gear. The flasks are just magic and Carlitos. If you get ailment immunity, you can take out the freeze phasing flask and you can put in another unique flask like a Xeris. It's really easy to get phasing. You could anoint this node, which gives you phasing pretty much all the time while you're mapping. If you're not using a headhunter, you can use a Stygian Vise Jewel with onslaught or phasing to get that buff. But you do really want some form of phasing on the build so you can move through packs while your poison's killing them. I'm running one of the new replica uniques from Heist League. This is replica acuities, and they honestly just give a lot of stats. They save you 1 point on the passive tree because you don't have to take perfect agony anymore. They have a great life roll, a good crit roll, and the star here is the high int roll because it takes a lot of int to run obliterations. It's like 180 or something, and we don't take a lot of int on the passive tree. All our travel points are mostly dex. So we do need a bit of int if you want to run the obliterations here, which most people will because exploding chests are very expensive right now. My rings are nothing fancy, just life and res. I have this craft here, the mana with flat mana regen. Between this and mana regen from Solstice Vigil, you could obviously get more mana regen than this from a rare amulet, is what's sustaining my mana. There's no reason to use Eldritch Battery on this build. It's quite easy for me to sustain mana just from regen, even with low amounts of int. I can pretty much spam my Blade Vortex at permanent stacks like this, and I'm regening plenty of mana. It's a little bit harder on 60% less recovery rate maps, but you won't have any problems. Just try not to over spam it. You can obviously just permanently cast it and run out, but you never need to do that because we're running Unleash in our main skillings. Cold Iron points, you guys know what these are. These are just for single target damage, and you don't need these at all, I think. I think you can kill Cirrus 8 in SSF with just obliterations. Your damage won't be optimal, but these take our damage from something like 6 million to something like 10 million, and so 6 million damage is more than enough. Even half of that is more than enough, in my opinion, to kill Cirrus 8. Maw of Conquest, we went over that. This is an explodey chest. I'll go over the links here, and then I'll go over Solstice Vigil and why I think that it's the best in slot amulet. We are running Cast and Damage Taken Immortal Call. This eats our endurance charges that we have gained from Enduring Composure to give us a big defensive layer. To prevent against 2 hits, basically. We're running a self-cast Despair because I think the new Doom mechanic is really good. Self-casting your Despair as opposed to on-hitting it or triggering it in some way is pretty optimal if you can be bothered to press the button every now and then. I'm running Malevolence, Enlighten, Herald of Purity. Don't need an Enlighten at all. You'll still have plenty of mana. Mine's only level 2. And a Portal Gem. If this is later on in the league and you're playing this and you have access to like a level 4 Enlighten, which are not really that available right now, you could potentially work in a Flesh and Stone for another defensive layer. You might struggle a little bit more on mana, but I'm sure there are ways to patch it up. Quality on Solstice Vigil means a lot because it increases the flat mana regenerated per second. The only problem is that it's like 1.5x to fully quality something with Life Catalyst right now, and I'm not really interested in spending it when it's pretty unnecessary. I'm running Headhunter. A rare Stygian Vise with crafted damage is more damage, more life. You can get reses on it. You can get flask mods on it. This is purely clear speed. It doesn't really affect the build. I'm running Tailwind boots with elemental avoidance, which don't really matter at all because I don't have a 100% chance to avoid. I crafted these because I'm planning to use them on my next build, and I just kind of threw them on to get the Tailwind to go a little bit more zoom. If you don't want to make these, Edziri's steps are way better. They have 30% movement speed, and the spell dodge is actually quite noticeable. And yeah, they're really good boots. I would advise Edziri steps in replacement of this, whereas Stygian in replacement of this. These are like 10 chaos. You could easily pick up a pair of these. I'm running rare jewelry. It's pretty nice, but you could pick pieces up that'll cap your resistances for a lot cheaper than my rings, because you probably won't have this stuff unless you're rolling in the currency. And yeah, you don't need to run this. It's a good damage increased with the Golden Rule. Do not run Golden Rule without this helmet or Watcher's Eye that gives you unaffected by poison. You will kill yourself. And these are the single target cold iron points. Let's go over Solstice Vigil. So Solstice Vigil gives you damage, life, flat mana regen. Guys, stats are pretty straightforward. You get a free Temporal Chains aura, which I'm running in my boots. I have Anonymous Blasphemy, which gives curses 40% increased area of effects. Divergent Ink Area, which just gives more area. And Temporal Chains and Plague Bearer. So my Plague Bearer has 60% ink area, and my Temp Chains aura has 100% increased area, or 99%, something around there. So it basically goes off the screen on the top, about here on the sides of my screen, the Temp Chains aura. It's a really great defensive layer, and Temp Chains for poison actually increases your damage as well, because Temp Chains says that where is it? Here we go. Other effects on cursed enemies expire 40% slower, which is your poison. So on a duration stacking poison build, stacking duration through the flask, the cluster jewel, the ascendancy, this is basically a 40% multiplier to poison duration, and actually significantly increases your single target. So I have Anointed Whispers of Doom, so I'm able to use both a self-cast Spare and a Blasphemy Temp Chains on single targets. If you're playing this build and you have a lot of money, and you're not planning on... I awakened my Explode with Frenzy on hit because I'm planning on using this on a Badge of the Brotherhood build later. If you have the money and you want to invest fully in this build, I would suggest Awakening, Orbing the Explode with +1 Curse, because then you can anoint Corruption, which is a lot of single target damage, or you can anoint the phasing node for more movement speed. So yeah, the Frenzy on hit Awakener Orb is not best in slot. I'm just planning to use these two items on my next build, so I'm kind of thinking ahead here. And let's see the gym setups. I'm using Dash, Anonymous Second Wind for 3 charges, and Steel Skin. I've got Steel Skin on left click, so when I click, I go around, I get my buff for a little bit. It's another nice defensive layer. I'm running Spell Totem, Wither, multiple totems, and faster casting to get that Wither debuff up really quickly on bosses. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I've gone over all the setups. That's my Poison Blade Vortex build. I'm going to include a fully fleshed out POB in the description with a level 100 tree. The description will contain my Awakened Gems being fully leveled, which they're not. I'm pretty sure, yeah, they're level 1 and level 2. And it will contain a level 21 Blade Vortex, which I have not been able to buy yet because there are practically none on the market in the current league. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about the build, you want to know about budget alternatives, please come by the stream or leave a comment in the video below. And thanks a lot for watching, guys. I am going to put out more content about the builds I do. I really like min-maxing builds to the fullest of my power as far as my currency lets me. So yeah, feel free to support me on the stream. That is where I am actively making these builds, gearing these builds, and playing with them. So if you want to see this build in action or other builds that I do in action, then feel free to come by. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have a good one. I hope week 2 of Heist is a little bit less buggy. I haven't really been interacting with the content. I've just been stacking it because I've been having a lot of crashes. So yeah, hopefully we get a here's to week 2 basically. Good luck out there, guys.